Hi everyone, it's Barry from Jerusalem. This week's Parsha Ki Tavo revolves around gratitude. It was the point in the 5 books of Moses where the nation was going into the land. In order to go into the land, they had to show their gratitude. Now, the gratitude depended on giving their first fruits, the first offering. And they had to show their gratitude. They had to show the gratitude by waving it up, the new fruit of the land. And they also had to say the blessing. Whatever the blessing was for the new fruit, they have to thank God with the blessing. If they orally did not say the blessing, it's as if they didn't bring the fruit. So they did a transgression. In other words, they're showing gratitude, they're waving the fruit in the air, but they don't know the blessing, because the blessing activates the mitzvah or the deed or the light for the Jewish soul in its land, the land of Yisrael, which means he struggled with God. So in our struggles with God, we have 2 aspects of faith. We have to understand the love of God, which is a deeper level of faith, which involves doing all the mitzvahs. If you don't do the mitzvahs, if you don't do the halachot, if you don't do the things in which it is prescribed in the Torah, which is the written tradition, and with this it's mirrored with an oral tradition, if you don't do everything together, then it's like you're not even doing it. It's like you're doing it wrong. And if you're doing it wrong, then you're creating a sin. It's an amazing concept, because here you're trying to show your gratitude, but you're missing one little step, like a blessing. Well, we learn from this that blessings, when we say give a blessing, we're acknowledging the Creator, the one God. Now, this one God gave this land of Israel to the Jewish people. But today we have a little regard for the land. And that's perhaps why on October 7th this happened. Because it's written in the right after Passover, it's written that we have to eat matzah as a mitzvah d'oraisa, which is a mitzvah written in the Torah. We have that command, a mitzvah d'oraisa. Just like we have a mitzvah d'oraisa that when you bring your first fruit into the land, you have to give the blessing. You don't give the blessing, it's like you didn't give anything. So think about what that means regarding the land. The land is so important. The land of Israel is so important, because that's the land where God wanted to dwell with his chosen people. And we count on the first night of Passover, and we say the Haggadah, we relive the Egyptian experience, because we were slaves in Egypt, and in his gratitude, he released us. We became free, but on condition that we keep his commandments, which were achieved 49 days on the 50th day on Mount Sinai, where the Jews received the 5 books of Moses, the oral tradition. Now, when the Romans and the Greeks came into the land of Israel, the Jews were exiled. So they decided to copy down this tradition in the Jerusalem Talmud, in the first temple when it was destroyed, and then the second temple when it was destroyed by the Romans, and we were in exile. 1948, Abraham left this place, and this was a place of Avodah Zarah, which is idol worship. And this is the point of God releasing the Jews from Egypt, because they were involved with witchcraft, many idols, idol worship. And God says, no, I'm giving you 10 plagues. You follow my lead. I'm going to release you. In 49 days later, you're going to receive the Torah, and you're going to see what are the boundaries. Was there any boundaries on October 7th? There were no boundaries. In last week's Parsha, when you go to war, it says one little mitzvah: don't remove the eggs from its mother. What does it mean, don't remove the eggs from its mother? That's a crazy commandment. No, because the creator of the world sees the mother as central to the nurturing of the children. And when you take the child right from the mother, you're destroying the nuclear family, mother, father, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's the nuclear family, is the sociological term for father and son. We bonim. Our sons are called banim, bonim. Livnot is to build. We are builders. We are not destroyers like our enemies in Gaza, who came into us and not only took the children out of the nest, they took the children and they deformed them, and they deformed their parents in front of the children, and the children in front of the parents. These people are plain evil. Yet what does the world see? The world sees, oh, it's Israel's fault. Is that not ridiculous? And it goes to show Israel has borders. The borders are when we Jews learn the Torah, what's right, what's wrong, and when we do it, and we try to do it completely, then we have understanding, then we have purpose. Today there's no wisdom. The wisdom of the Torah is for all the Jews. On Rosh Hashana, all the nations will be judged. Who shall live, who shall die, who shall be the success, who shall not. This thing happened almost 2 years ago, and it's still not resolved. But only one thing is resolved in 2 years, and if you can see this and image this in your mind. When this happened, more than 600 days ago, it was 600 chariots that attacked the Jewish people when they had their backs to this. So 600 is significant, because 6 days also is significant, because the God, Rav Shmuel says that the world would not be destroyed. The world would be destroyed if the Sabbath didn't come. We need the Sabbath, the seventh day, as our recognition of God, what He wants for the Jewish people, what He wants for the world. So this Rosh Hashana, it's still the book's still open. Usually from Rosh Hashana to Yom Kippur, the book is sealed after 10 days. Now for the Jewish people, it's only for the Jewish people, because we have this unique relationship with God. Now there are the Gentile nations, they say 7, the Gentile nations are responsible for the 7 laws of Noah, which is also gets them married. But the Jews have this concept of freedom, choice, and gorel, destiny, that we can change our choice. In other words, on Rosh Hashana, which is coming in less than 2 weeks, and Rosh Hashana is decreed that year, what's happening? What happened? There was a terrorist attack in Jerusalem, and there were many missiles shot this week at us, and these innocent, God-fearing, love-fearing, Torah-fearing people were killed, and all they're doing is trying to live in the land safely in peace. But that was decreed last Rosh Hashana. We have to understand that there's hashgacha pratis, divine providence. Divine providence runs the world. We have bechira, choice, but we have to choose on the side of good and not on the side of evil. So that's why I'm giving these videos over, because even though it says in our tradition, Yaakov, Esav hates Yaakov, that was the twin brother of Yaakov, right? So what can Yaakov do with him? He kind of like, because he's smart, he met him, but he said, you go your way, I go my way. You don't mix. We don't mix. We have lines, we have borders, and we have a great land that needs to be cultivated, and that our politicians don't have a right to give it away, especially when it was ours to begin with. this land, Gaza, they had synagogues way before the PLO came into existence to try to destroy the Jewish people, and to try to destroy in the 60s. And they came from Jordan, and these terrorists come from Egypt, and it's the same story 3,000 years earlier. The root is Egypt, the sorcery of Egypt, the sorcery of these nations that are so jealous of Israel that they'll do anything to destroy Israel. And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to jealousy. So because Abraham, who had Ishmael, who he kicked out of his house because Sarah, his wife, who had prophecy, said, Abraham, this guy Ishmael, who is the Muslim tradition, he's a bad influence. He can't be together with Isaac, with Yitzchak, because just like Yaakov can't be together, Jacob can't be together with Esau, it's the same parallel. However, we're all responsible for understanding that there's one creator, and he wants us to get along. He wants us to be in peace. But in order for you to know your peace, you have to know your strengths. You have to know your borders. You have to know that Jews are builders. We're building all over this tiny country the size of New Jersey. Habonim, our families are what it's all about. But in the contemporary world, in the world of me, and not family, this is the wisdom of the liberated cultures who only believe in themselves and their needs and their wants. And anything that's good is good because I want it, because it's mine. That's the me, sociologists say, the me attitude. We, the Jewish people, are the we attitude. But God is with us. This is a little point before I close. It's written when we put on our tefillin, "V'ristich li olam ristich li b'tzedek u'b'mishpat v'ristich li b'emunah shedata eshana." I betroth you when you put on the tefillin, the phylacteries of the tefillin every day. It's the commandment in the Torah for the Jewish man or boy to do it once he turns 13. If you betroth me, if you are committed to me, with justice, with mishpat, and dedication to righteousness and justice. Tzedek is righteousness, mishpat is justice. Justice has to do with a balance, finding the middle road when you want to go off the derech, off the way, and you find the middle way. You find the middle way, and that's the Rambam speaks of this. But this ve'eristachli, we betroth me. God on Rosh Hashana, and in this month Elul, He's closest to the Jewish people as ever. And in Rosh Hashana, you have to have the right fear. You have to know what you're standing against God, so that on Yom Kippur it will be resolved. And that's the last part of the verse. Chesed v'rachamim. We can pray to change our faith with kindness, sincerity, asking God for our help. That's the whole idea of changing your faith. In other words, on Rosh Hashana, your faith is inscribed. On Yom Kippur, it is sealed. But this aspect of righteousness and judgment, and kindness and chesed, that we can use our prayers with charity to do repentance and change the decree from the very first day on Rosh Hashana. What happened on October 7th? It was on the holiest day. We're supposedly free of all our averos on Simchas Torah, on Shmini Atzeret, which is the eighth day outside of Israel, 7th day in Israel. But it was on that specific day that the judgment was that all these people would die. Hundreds of Jews would die for the invading enemy. And they just didn't come in. This was planned for years. They came in and they started shooting cows before they started killing people. And they started burning fields because they want to take the land. That's how much they hate Israel. And they want to make a nation state out of a rogue, evil state. So what has God done in the last year? We're still in like the 600th day, right? In the last year, we know God is with us. How do we know? It's very simple. What happened down south? Now, Hamas is being hunted like a dog. They're worse than dogs. And they are now being terrorized by the Israeli army. Isn't that nice? That's called justice. That's called din. That is the fruition, right? We started off this video as the first fruit. Well, the fruits are not yet done, but we have this Rosh Hashana to come to our senses and to know that in this past year, Yemen, who have been shooting missiles all this month, are finally getting destroyed. Lebanon was destroyed. Syria was destroyed. And now the funding, the root of the evil in Qatar, was recently bombed by the Israeli Air Force. Isn't that great? God is with us. We're winning. But we still have a lot of work to do this Rosh Hashana. We have to pray hard if you're a Jew. Even if you've never been to a synagogue, you go to a synagogue. If you never wore tefillin, and you're a boy and you're 13 and you're a Jew, put it on. Even if you're married to a non-Jew, doesn't matter. As long as your mother is Jewish, then you have that right. You have that special blessing as a Jew to see the miracles happening today. Israel will be victorious because we cannot let the evil permeate this world anymore, and the values of the family being destroyed. Where you have people choosing to have babies alone due to the technology, very little family, very little concept of what was the purity associated with these times of Rosh Hashana, the sacrifices and the actions that all had to be done in a way in which the law instructs how to do it and have the proper intention to be pure in your thoughts, to be pure in your actions, that your thoughts are not one way to kill someone. You're not thinking one thing and you're doing. The Torah teaches us to be pure, our inner and outer thoughts. That brings light to the world. That brings light to our lives. So I wish all of you this year, whether you're Jew or whether you're Gentile, to start thinking about the Creator. Doesn't matter what religion you are. You don't have to be Jewish, but you have to recognize that by stepping back, humbling yourself, to know that there's a Creator out there, and He has certain rules designed in nature. What you can do, what you can't do. Like these fools in Gaza and the fools that support Gaza. So think about my words. And I'm willing to speak to anyone. You go online, subscribe to my thing. I haven't asked for anything regarding these videos. I do it all out of love because I see what's going on now. And I'm in the process of finishing my rabbinical degree, which I started 14 years ago. Why I left America to come here, and now this week I'm finishing it up to be a certified rabbi in the tradition, oral and the written tradition, not these watered down traditions, conservative and reform. I wish everybody well. Have a good Shabbos. Be happy. And know when, in the words of Eli Melech from Lazim, When you sing Sabbath miros, you sing out loud, and when you're singing, it's like sending out weapons to our enemies. That's how deep the Torah is. We're commanded to be happy on Shabbos. Doesn't matter if we're surrounded by 7 enemies trying to kill us. Doesn't really matter. When Shabbos comes, we sing songs, we do everything. We have nice meals. It's like heaven on earth. And that's all God wanted from the original Ki Tavo. When you come in, you raise my first fruits up. The first fruits of the land belong to me. Just like in the Gemara, it's written every 7 years the land has to rest. And every 49, 50 years, if there's anybody that owes any debt on the land, the landlord doesn't have the power, because God has the power, because it's his land. And if we as politicians try to give it away, we're losing it. Everybody have a happy Shabbos, singing Zmiros, praying, preparing for this Rosh Hashana. And this year, hopefully we'll see the liberation of all the hostages from the 23 countries. And we'll see the light of the people of Israel come alive, to fill the world, and this darkness to be disappeared by the Israelis destroying all aspect of this evil that God allows them to destroy, because it's happening. Who would think that little Israel could destroy 7 nations with evil? And who would think America and its president can destroy all these things happening in America, getting rid of all their evil elements? Because it's divine providence. Perhaps President Trump thinks he's the Christian Mashiach. We don't believe in the Christian Messiah. We believe in the Jewish Mashiach, which hasn't come yet. Because we know from our text in the Gematria, in Gemara, in the Talmud, Sanhedrin, that Jesus was a sorcerer, and that he spent a lot of time in Egypt. And though there were parallels in the Talmud, the church actually cut out certain pages of the Talmud, because he was a Jew. There's no debate about that. But he was a sorcerer. He was into witchcraft. And that's what I'm seeking to do. Bring the light, get rid of the darkness, get rid of the sorcery. You can believe whatever you want. Just be nice to each other. Have a good Shabbos, everyone.